Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to History 101. Today, we're going to talk about the greatest American that lived.
Hello, family. How you all doing? We're back once again to have another sit down with you. Before I get into today's subject matter, I just want to touch on two quick things. If you go back and look at our piece on the American Civil War, who really won the American Civil War, remember Lincoln only paid reparations, and the Congress only paid reparations to the slave owners in the 4 border states that were loyal to the Union, not to the slaves. Remember that. They gave money to the slave owners in Delaware, Kentucky, Missouri, and Maryland, but not to any slaves anywhere. Remember that. Also, if you look at what we did on the Negro Project, which is, of course, today Planned Parenthood, then also remember that Margaret Sanger is telling black and brown people to murder or kill their babies, abort them, but she didn't kill her babies. Notice that. She had 3 babies. She didn't kill them. It's like Gloria Steiner, the feminist movement, who was outed, according to reports, of being an FBI agent, and she's telling you not to have a man, but she was married. So you got to look at what these people are doing. They're telling you to live your life one way, but they don't live their life that way. They're trying to control you and dominate you and defeat black and brown strong families. Don't forget that point. Now, with that being said, today we're going to get into the greatest American that this country ever produced. I know we all have certain heroes that we like, but I'm talking about a person, a man, who spoke 15, count them, 15 languages. 15 languages. How many people you know speaks 15 languages? Probably none. So 15 languages. He was valedictorian, of course, of his graduating class at Rutgers University, 1918, I believe it was. He also was an All-American football player at that time, and he was in the College Football Hall of Fame. The problem with it is they took his name off. They effaced his name from the record book as being an All-American, and we'll get into as to why in a few minutes. In addition to all of that, he then went to Columbia in New York, Columbia Law School, which is Ivy League, like Harvard, Yale, Princeton. It's an Ivy League school. He went to Columbia University Law School. How did he finance his law school? He played in the NFL. This is how talented he was. He played in the NFL to finance, just a couple years, just to finance law school. Also, while he was going to law school, he did Shakespearean plays in London, and during World War II, he had the longest run. It stands to this day, he did more Shakespearean plays on Broadway in New York City than anyone else in the history of Broadway, New York City, Broadway. So he did all of that. Then, in addition to all of that, he also, what do I want to say? He also sold, if you come to LA, where I'm at right now, and you go to the Hollywood Bowl, it's a venue that's outside concert area, because he was also a famous baritone singer, the top one of his day. Now, you're already seeing all the diversity. He sold out the Hollywood Bowl. To this day in 2020, he has the most people that came to his concert, more than the Beatles, more than the Rolling Stones, more than even Louis Armstrong or anyone else who played at the Hollywood Bowl. He has the record for the most people selling out to come see his concert. Speaking of that, he also did a concert during the middle of the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s. And guess what? Both sides stopped to listen to his concert. They stopped the war to listen to his concert. Later, when the American government took his passport, what did he do? He gave a concert in New York by Niagara on the border. They had a heightened stage, and people from all over the world came in the Canadian side of the border, his audience, to watch him perform from the New York side of the border because he couldn't leave the country anymore. So these are some of the things he did. He also was in the 1936 movie Showboat, where he sang brilliantly and acted, because he was also one of the top actors of his day in the 1940s. He was the highest paid entertainer of his day. He acted in Showboat, Of course, Hollywood later reshot his parts in that movie and re-released the movie without him in it because, again, they tried to efface his memory from American public. Why? Because he was communist. And he admitted so and said it was his right to be a communist in the 1950s when he went to Congress to testify about it. We don't support communism at all, but we do support our brother, his right to do what he wanted to do as an American citizen. In addition to all that, he did get the, the Soviet Union Star, I think it was called Star, the medal they gave him. Mao Zedong gave him a medal in China. He sang Chi Lai in Chinese, their national song. He sang songs in Russian for Stalin. He was celebrated as a scholar. He wrote 4 science books, 4 science books. He also was a playwright, did screenplays, wrote them as well. He was a renowned scholar around the world, had a black wife, because he was also so-called black, and he married his own kind. This is very important. He didn't go chasing the other women of other nations. He didn't do that. And his wife was also a scholar. And they were both big-time political activists. We're talking about our brother Paul Robeson. That's who we're talking about. We're celebrating him today as the greatest American who ever lived, the most diverse as far as talent is concerned. He was a play activist, political activist, playwright, author, athlete at the highest levels, Shakespearean play, broke all the records for that. I mean, you can't name someone who had that kind of diversity in the history of this country other than Paul Robeson. And go to Philadelphia, his sister's house where he died in January 1976 is now a national museum for Paul Robeson. I can't remember, it's in the 40s or the 50s in West Philly, not far from the train station, but you can look it up. Paul Robeson, please look him up. Read about all the things he did. And when you start thinking, wow, we don't really have a person we can look up to, this is a person that's better than anyone ever produced in America who's so-called white or yellow or any other race. Paul Robeson was the best this country ever produced. Please do your research on him. That is our brother, very famous, and we love him very much. All right, thanks a lot, family. Next time we're gonna get into this fake Latin pagan holiday, the Cetralina, or however you pronounce it in Latin, which you think is called Christmas. We're going to get into that next. All right, take care, and remember Paul Robeson. Thank you.
Now, see, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you understand now that ignorance of history is a sad thing. Getting educated about history is very important. Very important. We're going to bring you some pretty heavy stuff. Stay tuned to Sir Worldwide. Like this, subscribe. Aloha.